This is my second garden tour, and things are really starting to explode out here. So I definitely need to get through and do some weeding, but I've been pretty much keeping up on that as much as I can. There are some potato beetles trying to attack my poor tomatillo plants, and it looks like somebody's been getting into my pepper plants. Looks like a hornworm right here, which I'm gonna have to take to my chickens. Those usually are going towards your tomato plants, but those are actually looking pretty good right now, so I'll have to take care of that. But everything's exploding. It's just so full of green, and I'm loving it. Got my little garden helpers with me. My onions are starting to finally get much bigger. They've been looking pretty sad for a while now, and that's totally fine. We love our onions, but we weren't really expecting too much from this garden this year because of how small it is compared to our previous gardens. But our pepper plants are looking really good. We're starting to see some little fruit growing, and there are tons of flowers finally on these tomato plants, and they're finally starting to reach the trellis, which is awesome. I'm going to start weaving those through soon. The marigolds are looking pretty good. Finally getting some rain that we needed. But these tomato plants are just bursting, and that's awesome, especially seeing the little fruit starting to grow. And then, of course, my peas that did not ever grow. I still need to figure out what I'm going to do right here. I might just throw a bunch of carrots in so that I can finish and get a couple of those this season, because they did not want to germinate right here. A couple popped up, but that's it. And then I have my random radishes and the green beans, which are also doing awesome. I'm gonna come through and start stringing those up as soon as they can reach the trellis. And then I did throw in some zinnias and cosmos down here just to add some color, so hopefully those start growing soon. I wasn't sure really what I was gonna fit in here. I was gonna try to do some radishes, but only some of those seeds actually germinated down here. And then over here is where we put our asparagus crowns. We did do, I would say probably about 12 in here. And if you look closely, you'll see they're finally starting to grow a little bit. I wasn't really sure because it took so long. I need to actually get in here and weed, because that's a big issue with growing asparagus, is that you want to make sure that there isn't too much of a weed issue. And there's one growing right here. Let's see. You kind of have to look closely because there's so many weeds, and then you'll start finding them. It actually took me a while to start seeing that they were growing. This one's looking pretty good, pretty tall, and then there's one right there also. But I am hopeful. I was actually getting kind of discouraged because I wasn't seeing them growing, and then I saw those finally after we got some rain. What are you doing in there? And then I started getting a little bit more excited. And then something new that's fun is the strawberry plants are starting to put out feelers, which hopefully we can propagate into new strawberry plants if they are able to grow those before it gets too hot. But those are looking pretty good. I've been trying to keep up on pulling the flowers off of them so that they can really work and focus on growing their root systems this year. Need to pull some of these weeds out. I've actually been keeping up on those pretty well, which is nice. And then I need to start eating some of these beautiful salad greens because they are just popping out. Wanting to bolt and go to seed here. You can see the flowers, but they're looking so delicious. The kale is also growing huge. The broccoli and Brussels sprouts are also massive, along with the cabbages that are starting to form their heads, which is awesome to see. Hopefully we can get those before it's too hot, but it's actually been in the 80s for about 3 weeks or so. So I'm pretty surprised that they're doing so well. And then I'm excited to see how these Brussels sprouts do, because we've never done Brussels sprouts before, as well as the broccoli. So we'll see if they actually succeed this summer. It's been so hot, and we definitely planted them outside of their comfort zone. It's so weird seeing these dandelions. These are absolutely massive. Maybe it's something else because they actually don't look like it, but they're extremely similar. So I don't know. We're still learning about this property, so I don't know if there's some other kind of dandelion, but these are just absolutely massive, and they're actually really beautiful to me. We love dandelions here. The dill are just massive as well. And then the thyme is going to seed. Oregano is looking beautiful. Mint's getting big, of course. The sage hasn't really grown at all. Rosemary, I absolutely love. It's looking good. All my poor cilantro is now going to be coriander seed, which is totally fine. Basil is going to seed, both of them. Mama's over there chewing on some grass. But it's looking pretty good overall, I'd say. I'm really, really happy. I'm super excited to start getting some tomatoes soon. I've already harvested quite a few radishes, which is awesome. Need to start pickling those. But yeah, this garden tour so far is much more full of life than it has been previously. These radishes definitely need to get pulled out and pickled. These pepper plants over here are actually looking like they're struggling. To me personally, I've actually always had really, really good success with growing peppers. I've actually heard a lot of people talk about how they've struggled with growing pepper plants, and I've never had to do too much. The last property we had, they grew beautifully. I haven't really had to worry too much about them. Maybe it's just because we bought all of our plants from a greenhouse this year and didn't grow them ourselves, but typically mine would have been bushed out much more by now, and I usually don't top them or anything. They just get really full and lush on their own. So I'm not sure if it's just the soil that's different or the fact that we had to buy all of our plants this year, unfortunately. But they have lots of flowers on them, and they're starting to grow fruit, which is awesome. I'm not too worried about it. It's just wondering when we're going to start getting those harvests from them, and hoping that it doesn't collide with when we get our harvest from. Okay, so I had to go back in and get my baby back down to sleep because she woke up while I was out giving eggs to the pigs. And Seminole's back with me. What you doing, bud? He's so funny. All right, so I don't think I've shown you this. This is our beautiful round barn that's kind of falling apart. I'll actually kind of get a little bit further away so you can see like there was water damage pretty bad, I guess, from the previous owner not being able to keep up with it. So the roof completely collapsed right there. You can see like the foam topping that's over the old roof of it. I'm not sure a whole lot. There are wires strapped to the ground over here that are kind of keeping it in place. Hoping that the wind doesn't take it down one day before we can try to possibly get some grants or something to try to restore it. So the door also blew off right after we moved in, unfortunately, so we have to get that fixed. But it's absolutely beautiful. It was built in 1907. We did find pictures from somebody that sent them to us, and they're awesome. They're really old pictures of the gentleman that built the round barn and his son. And then there's a picture of just the foundation, the rock foundation of it without the wood on top. And then we found some carvings inside that say 1907, so that's pretty cool too. I'll kind of walk up there and give you a little peek inside. The floor completely collapsed. It's super messy. There's a lot of stuff that was left over from the previous owners, and the cats have just been kind of hanging out in here. Yeah, there's a lot of work that it went into it. You can sort of see up there. It's absolutely beautiful workmanship, but unfortunately we have to try to figure out something to try to save it because As history lovers, my husband and I both hate seeing stuff like this happen. So the types of tomatoes that I'm growing this year are your pretty basic ones. I'm not sure exactly what the names of the varieties are because we did have to buy them from a local nursery. But we did do like a slicer tomato, cherry tomatoes. We did the tomatillos. And then we do Amish paste. I usually like to do the San Marzano, and then I did a giant Amish paste last year. And those were really awesome because it's less chopping at the end of the day. Your organic aromas are still kind of small, so it takes a bit more work. And I do a ton of paste and a ton of sauce. So I do prefer picking the larger tomatoes. It's just less time out harvesting, which is pretty nice. But yeah. So we'll see how that goes, and I'm excited to actually grow some stuff from seed next year so that I know exactly what the names are of everything. I typically know exactly what I grow, and it's kind of hard this year when you don't exactly know what the names of things are, unfortunately. But that's where I'm gonna leave you today on this beautiful day. It actually turned out pretty nice after all. It was storming and raining this morning, and now looks like the sun's out and the sky is clear. Beautiful clouds behind me. But yeah, enjoy your day. Thanks for watching.